Washington, August 27, 2025. Beneath the marble arches of Union Station, one of America's most iconic transport hubs, the stage was set for an announcement that reaches far beyond the world of trains and timetables. Standing before the cameras, US Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy declared that his department would be taking direct control of Union Station. It was framed as an infrastructure decision, but the move came against the backdrop of President Donald Trump's intensifying crackdown on crime and immigration in the nation's capital. Together, the announcements feed into a narrative of Washington being pulled more firmly under federal command. Union Station is no ordinary building. Since its grand opening in 1907, it has been both a gateway to the city and a symbol of national ambition. Over the years, it has welcomed presidents, foreign dignitaries, and millions of everyday travelers. But time has not been kind. The station has struggled with crumbling infrastructure, rising crime in its concourses, shuttered storefronts, and long-standing neglect. For many Washingtonians, it feels like a shadow of its former self. For the Trump administration, however, that decline has become the justification for reclaiming it as federal property, a decision Duffy insists is about stewardship, not politics. Today, we're announcing that we're going to take Union Station back under DOT control, Duffy told reporters. Not a power play, we've always had it, but we think that we can manage the property better, bring in more tenants, bring in more revenue, and that revenue is going to allow us to make investments in this beautiful building. It needs investments. It's been neglected for decades, and it's showing its age. We want to make this place beautiful. And the premier train station, not just in America, but the premier train station in the world. For Duffy, the Union Station takeover is about more than cosmetics. His message was wrapped in a vision of American rail revival, an ambition that has long eluded Washington policymakers. For decades, the United States has watched as Europe, Japan, and more recently China have raced ahead with sleek, high-speed train networks that have transformed how people travel. In the US, by contrast, rail has often been synonymous with underfunding, delays, and regional limitations. Against this backdrop, Duffy's announcement of Amtrak's new next-gen Acela trains was intended as proof that change is finally coming. "I would love to see high-speed rail in America," he said. "I don't think it should just be China, Europe, Japan, others that have high-speed rail. I think America deserves high-speed rail. This is, at 160 miles an hour, one great step in that process." But again, this administration, this DOT, wants to make those investments to make travel safe, efficient, and faster. And so I'm excited to be here at this time for this historic announcement. The gleaming new trains provided the perfect backdrop, powerful imagery for a government eager to claim progress. Yet critics quickly noted that 160 miles per hour, though a leap forward in the US context, still lags far behind international competitors. China's fastest trains travel more than 217 miles per hour. France's TGV and Japan's Shinkansen networks are global models of speed and efficiency. In that sense, the new Acela is both a milestone and a reminder of just how much catching up America still has to do. But the politics of the announcement cannot be separated from its optics. Just a day earlier, Duffy was photographed at the White House, seated beside President Trump during a cabinet meeting. That meeting was dominated by discussions of crime and public order in Washington, with the president defending his controversial decision to deploy federal policing power across the District of Columbia. Critics have accused him of treating the Capitol as a testing ground for authoritarian governance. Against that backdrop, the federal takeover of Union Station feeds suspicions that infrastructure policy is being woven into a broader pattern of central control. For supporters, however, the announcement represents long overdue responsibility. Union Station is not just a Washington landmark, but also the linchpin of Amtrak's busiest corridor, connecting the capital with New York, Boston, and beyond. If the station fails, the ripple effects are felt up and down the eastern seaboard. For years, city officials and private managers struggled to balance the demands of maintenance, commerce, and security. Now the Trump administration argues it is time for the federal government to step in, to restore, invest, and modernize on a scale only Washington can deliver. The story of Union Station is, in many ways, the story of America's transport ambitions. Built in an era of optimism, it symbolized national unity and progress. But as air travel and highways came to dominate, rail slipped into decline, its infrastructure fraying, its cultural significance diminished. Duffy's pledge to restore Union Station as the premier train station in the world revives that old ambition, but it also raises difficult questions. Can the same administration that has polarized Washington with its law and order tactics win public trust as a custodian of civic heritage? Can rail investment succeed in a country where political will has so often faltered? Beyond the marble concourses of Union Station, the debate over rail is deeply tied to America's future. Advocates see high-speed trains as essential for reducing carbon emissions, easing congestion, and offering sustainable alternatives to short-haul flights. Skeptics point to the enormous cost, the complexity of building across vast territories, and the challenges of competing with the convenience of cars and planes. Duffy's announcement, while headline-grabbing, is only the beginning of a much longer battle over priorities and funding. And yet, as the sleek new Acela slides out of the station, the symbolism is hard to ignore. This is not just about trains. It is about power, politics, and perception. Union Station is both a literal gateway to the capital and now a stage for the administration's claim to authority. Whether Washingtonians see it as long overdue renewal or an unwelcome assertion of federal dominance will shape how this move is remembered. For now, Sean Duffy has given voice to a dual promise: to restore an American landmark to its former glory and to push the country closer to the high-speed future it has so often dreamed about but rarely delivered. Whether that promise translates into lasting change or whether it becomes another symbol of political theatre in an already divided capital remains to be seen.
Thank you, Tony, and I appreciate your leadership. You have done a fantastic job.
All that's left to say is, all aboard!
Today we're announcing that we're going to take Union Station back under DOT control. Not a power play, we've always had it, but we think that we can manage the property better, bring in more tenants, bring in more revenue, and that revenue is going to allow us to make investments in this beautiful building. It needs investments. It's been, I think, neglected for decades, and it's showing its age. And again, we want to make this place beautiful and the premier train station, not just in America, but the premier train station in the world. Again, I would love to see high-speed rail in America. I don't think it should just be China, Europe, Japan, others that have high-speed rail. I think America deserves high-speed rail. This is, at 160 miles an hour, one great step in that process. But again, this administration, this DOT wants to make those investments to make travel safe, efficient, and faster. And so I'm excited to be here at this time for this historic announcement.